Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. I'm Shamela Pula and here's what we have in the bulletin. Jamaica now under tropical storm warning and hurricane watch. All public hospitals are now operating in emergency mode. And later in sports, Mount Pleasant gain advantage in Caribbean Cup semis after winning Trinidad. Here are the details. We begin with an update from the Met Service of Jamaica on the impact of Tropical Storm Melissa. The storm is expected to strengthen into a hurricane within hours. The system has now prompted a tropical storm warning and hurricane watch for the entire country. Meteorologist Ron Brown provided an update during a special media briefing held a short while ago at the office of the Prime Minister.
With the National Hurricane Center, and coming out of that is that Melissa could become a major hurricane sitting south of Jamaica on the weekend, and that of course is something that we have to pay special attention to. Generally, in terms of the impacts, we're expecting significant rainfall amounts that could cause localized flooding and landslides, especially over low-lying and flood-prone areas due to Melissa, and of course the antecedent conditions of the heavy rainfalls over the last couple of weeks, which would allow the soils to be very wet or saturated at most. And strong gusty winds are likely in terms of tropical storm winds over Jamaica Friday into the weekend, and as such we have gone for the tropical storm warning, and the hurricane conditions are likely on Saturday, and therefore we have gone for a hurricane watch as well.
And the Met Service has also issued a strong warning to marine interests. It says widespread showers and thunderstorms are expected to begin today and continue into the weekend. Therefore, fishers are urged to heed the warning.
Winds reaching hurricane strength are likely on Saturday, particularly over southern and eastern offshore areas. And of course, we're advising that all marine operators, including fishers on the quays and banks, should have by now be in port, and we're urging them to complete their necessary safety precautions without delay. At this point, it is important for the public to understand that the system is still evolving. And because it's evolving, while it remains a tropical storm, any change in the forward speed and the structure could alter the expected impacts for Jamaica. Therefore, we urge everybody to be vigilant, to keep monitoring official updates from the Met Service.
And Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the Ministry of Health has now fully activated its emergency operations. Dr. Tufton says the ministry is anticipating disruptions to some of its services as a result of the approaching storm.
It's a 24-hour center which keeps in touch with all the collaborating agencies and mans from that space the response that is required throughout the country, and that is up and running. We continue to prepare our efforts across the island, and we have had a number of consultations over the past number of days with the regional health authorities and other stakeholders. So these are some of the specifics. All public hospitals will now enter emergency mode. This means that while hospitals remain open, outpatient services and elective surgeries will be suspended for the time being to focus on the emergencies. Visitations will be limited, and family members are asked to pick up their relatives who have been admitted for non-critical reasons, and the respective hospitals will reach out to those family members. We have to reserve bed space just in case we need them for emergencies.
And still at the special press briefing, the Jamaica Public Service and the National Water Commission say they are ready to respond to the storm.
We have faced multiple weeks of significant rainfall. What does that mean for us? The ground is saturated. Saturated ground combined with increased rainfall in the order of what I'm hearing 6 to 12 inches, plus winds sustained in the order of 50 miles per hour, increases the likelihood of power outages. So I'm standing here to let you know the lights are going to go out. So let us plan for the lights going out. With that being said, we are committed, we are positioned, we are resourced, and we stand ready to respond. I also have confidence in the work that we have done in regards to our infrastructure improvement.
In St. Thomas, pipelines located in landslide-prone areas that crosses rivers have been temporarily removed to prevent them from being washed away during heavy rainfall. Open trenches at work sites are currently being reinstated ahead of the bad weather and will be revisited for inspection and repair immediately after the passing. Storage levels are being filled and secured to support post-storm recovery.
The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation says it is collaborating with the National Works Agency to safeguard infrastructure and ensure residents are ready for the storm's impact. Speaking on Smile Jamaica this morning, CEO of the KCMC, Robert Hill, says he is confident that the corporation is ready for the storm.
Our engineering department would have already engaged our contractors to pre-position equipment, particularly in East and rural St. Andrew. We also have triggers for the low-lying areas of Kingston. And so I believe we're still working through some other areas, but I believe that generally speaking, we are prepared. We can never be too prepared, but we are where we are right now.
In the meantime, communications manager at the NAA, Stephen Shaw, says despite work being done on drains, gullies and bridges, he's urging residents to be prepared to relocate if needed and use extreme caution when traveling through vulnerable areas.
Rock Falls, the Bogwalk Gorges is one of them. The Little Bay area along the north coast over in St. Mary is another. And listen to the advice that we are going to be putting out there as it relates to movement. If you see a road that is flooded, especially if you don't know the area, do not attempt to cross it.
All right.
Those are the kinds of messages that we want persons to heed.
And disaster coordinator at the KCMC, Terry Forrester, says the municipality is in talks with shelter managers as part of its preparedness efforts. She says the discussions are focused on ensuring that each facility is adequately stocked with supplies and that protocols are in place to safely accommodate persons in the event of an emergency.
We have been in contact with our shelter managers. We've also been in contact with our agencies through sharing of information through our WhatsApp groups. We are also outfitting some of our shelter managers with new gears, which include water boots and raincoats, so that they're able to go out and sufficiently manage or weather the storm on their way to the shelter or to assist other persons. We also will be disseminating our public education material out, which includes our emergency contact numbers, that persons are able to know who to call in the event of anything that may happen.
Work has started to remove a massive pile of garbage that accumulated at an interceptor barrier in the Sandy Gully. The barrier located at the mouth of the gully in Seaview Gardens has trapped several truckloads of debris from several communities across Kingston and St. Andrew. Karen Simpson reports.
It's a race against time. Heavy equipment in action to clean the largest gully in the corporate area, the Sandy Gully. It connects several smaller waterways that feed into Kingston Harbor. With the impending passage of Tropical Storm Melissa just hours away, Director of Cleanup Kingston Harbor Michael McCarthy says the team is working quickly.
This is one of our largest deployments, and from what you can see behind me, we have an extreme flush
which happened as a result of some rains that we got on the island. These rains have caused all the debris from communities in and around Kingston to flush down into Sandy Gully, creating this massive pileup that you're seeing behind me. We've been here since about 6 a.m. excavating. As you can see, the machine is now clearing the debris to load into trucks, which is how we remove the waste from the space once we've extracted it from the gully. And though we've been here since 6, it feels as though we haven't even made a dent.
Mr. McCarthy says the debris is more than he anticipated.
This impact is showing us that the pollution problem on the island is so much greater than what we anticipate, especially being here in Kingston.
The government is in the early stages of planning a solution for people residing on gully banks. It continues to urge residents to avoid remaining in low-lying and flood-prone areas.
The aim of the Kingston Harbour Cleanup Project is to systematically stop trash from entering the Kingston's harbour by putting in barriers at the mouth of the gullies, such as the one that we have here at Sandy Gully. These barriers have been able to stop tons of waste from getting out, and we hope to continue doing this.
Kerry-Ann Simpson, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. In St. Catherine, Councillor for the Old Harbour South Division and Chairman of the Disaster Preparedness Committee, Dr. Kurt Wall, says his division is ready for any eventuality.
As we said earlier, the meeting that we just had was an emergency meeting. Most, if not all the agencies were present. The agencies, JPS, the Water Commission, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Jamaica Defence Force, to name a few. They were all there, and they have given us a very detailed report on what they have in store.
And despite his preparedness for any eventualities, he says there are still some areas of concern within the division and is urging residents not to take storm preparations lightly.
You know, we have a lot of low-lying areas in the St. Catherine area, on the plains and the coastlines of St. Catherine. And even also in our hilly areas, you know, there's a lot of, you know, susceptibility to land slippage and all of that. So we are very much concerned right now.
Normalcy is slowly returning to the Sydenham Health Centre in St. Catherine. Operations were disrupted for 4 weeks due to a mold issue. The management told TVJ News work was done on the air conditioning unit and things are expected to ease by today. However, the recent heavy rain left sections of the compound flooded, which has caused a mosquito nuisance at the facility. Residents recounted the ordeal of trying to use the facility over the past few days.
Asthma clinic. I am the pressure patient. We have to get different appointment because there is a mold. Nobody cannot go inside. It's have a terrible smell. It's leaking. The sewage giving problem. A lot of no AC. We have a lot of problem. A lot of problem. Going here full of mosquito, water circling.
While majority of those issues have been addressed, residents are hoping that changes will not be short-lived.
This is really, really inconvenient because thousands of persons come here throughout the week, throughout the months, taking the pressure off the hospital. So when they write something, give you to go back to the hospital is so full that they're sending you back here or they're sending you somewhere outer. Each time you spend fare to come here, you have to go back. You're only getting a date that pushes you further. So you're not getting that service. What about persons that are extremely sick?
It's now time for the Business Minute.
A new report from the Bank of Jamaica shows a big gap between loans and personal spending and business investment. The Financial Inclusion Strategy report says the value of mortgages increased by 13.5% to $44.4 billion, but loans to micro, small and medium-sized businesses fell by 6% compared to last year. It also shows that lending to micro enterprises barely grew up to just 0.1%. Despite the slowdown in in business loans, digital transactions increased by 11% to $71 million in the first half of the year. The report adds that 73% of utility bills were paid online, with the total value of these digital payments reaching $6.8 trillion, up 12% compared to the same period last year. Further afield, oil prices rose sharply Thursday. The jump comes as traders worry about a squeeze on global supply after the U.S. imposed sanctions on 2 Russian oil companies. The sanctions also hit almost 3 dozen subsidiaries of the 2 companies. The sanctions are an effort to end the war in Ukraine. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Carrie Ann Simpson.
It's time for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is urging CARICOM countries to help resettle Venezuelans who entered Trinidad and Tobago illegally, saying they're costing taxpayers millions. She also declared she won't bow to CARICOM pressure or worry about losing support for Trinidad's UN Security Council bid. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar was responding to reports that some regional leaders are unhappy with Trinidad's backing of U.S. airstrikes against suspected narco-traffickers. On the international scene, Friday could mark the first missed paycheck for some federal workers as the U.S. government shutdown continues. The Senate may vote this week on a bill from Republican Senator Ron Johnson to pay essential workers working without pay. But support for the measure remains uncertain, with some lawmakers warning it could ease pressure to reopen the government. Meanwhile, many federal workers are struggling to make ends meet and are turning to food banks for help. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie Ann Simpson.
Thank you, Carrie Ann. We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.